y'all can see that battery fits right where I thought it would, and it's gonna, my amp rack's gonna fit right around it. All right, since I'm going to be needing to pull somewhere between 800 and 1,000 amps of power out of this little battery into the main amplifier. My two fuses is not going to be enough to handle that. I'm going to need four 250 amp fuses to handle 1,000 amps of power from the battery to the amp. If I end up using the fuses, I'm going to need both of those double fuse setups that I got from Slapz to handle that job. Now, which means I'm going to end up reusing these guys from my last build. And what these are for is to fuse the back battery and take care of these wires. So these two wires went to the alternator. They still go to the alternator, and they come back and they tie into the rear battery wherever that is, and that's how the alternator charges the battery. But I got to protect those wires, and I'm protecting on both ends. I've got fuses under the hood that fuse them on that end, and I use these two to fuse them on this end. Hey, what do y'all think about right here? Right, mounting them right there. Have them come out and circle around like this. All right, connect right here. One on top and one below. Let's see here. From the angle over. Oh, by the way, guys, before you use a tape measure by a battery, always remember this is a piece of metal. It will conduct electricity. So be very careful around the battery. We got about 3 5/8. I need to be able to get both sides of this. 3 5/8. I want this one to be tight. And 11 and 3/8. All right, so 3 5/8 and 11 3/8. See here, 3 5/8, 11 3/8. Now we need the up and down measurement. And since, okay, so we need the up and down measurement. But the piece doesn't go all the way to the floor, so I can't measure off the floor up. So instead, I know that it goes pretty close to the top, so I'm going to measure from the top down to the battery to get my top of my cutout. Check this out. You gotta love these little trunk thunder lithium batteries. 10,000 watts, supports 10,000 watts, and I could palm it in my hand. It don't get much better than this, guys. If you're looking for something similar to this, head over to Trunk Thunder Lithium. Use coupon code CAE10. And this guy here, the similar to this one, would be the 5K V2. Pick one of those guys up. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Well, how about that? Old drywaller can read a tape measure. So it's fitting up there, fitting around the battery. It's looking real good. Now, in preparation for the future, Brandon is supposed to be sending me one of the new 10K V2 batteries. It obviously is not going to fit over there. It's a much larger cell. Still very light and relatively small, carrying about twice as much power as that guy. But it can fit. So what I'll end up doing with it is it'll end up going back here in this corner right behind the box. So I got to keep that in mind whenever I'm doing all the things that I may have to run, that eventually I'm going to have to run some positives and negatives back into this area right here. So that's something I got to keep on my brain while I'm designing this whole layout. All right, now I need me a board that runs across the bottom down here, comes back here and goes up and connects to that board to lock the battery into the position whenever it's loaded. And it ain't got to be anything crazy good. It's just got to make the trip from there to here and be attached in just to give it that little extra. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere anyway whenever I have it all bolted down and the wires connected to it, but I just want to have that little extra insurance. I ain't figured out exactly how this is going to go, but I'll get to work on it. And I got this piece of scrap. It looks like a thickness would be about right. So I just need to figure out the length and then get an angle cut on this other end so that I can line up the ends. I'll have to do some fancy measuring to figure that out, but there you go. I got me a shorter, smaller piece here just to be able to measure with. Now I know that this part of the wall is on a 45-degree angle. Did that on purpose. So if I can measure the short side of this angle, I can find the long side. And if I get my battery in here, I mean my stick in there, I can mark that short side measurement. I need to mark it very faintly though, because I don't want it to be real big and prominent. Still a little tiny dot right there. All right. Then I can come in here and measure from the dot over to the spot where I'm thinking I'm gonna land. And it looks like 18 inches is gonna be pretty good. That gives me something to fasten it to. So we need to make it from, 18 inches to the short with a 45-degree angle cut. All right. So you can measure 18 inches over to the short, and then we have to create this 45-degree angles right here to get the long side. Now for that, I could do it a bunch of ways, but I'm just going to use this old miter box to create it. I'm not going to be doing the cutting with this saw, but I can use it to get my 45-degree line on here. And then we have our long measurement. So now cutting this part off should make this fit mostly. I still have a couple of things to do, but let's get that part done. So make sure that's pushed in there all the way. Oh, would you look at that? That's just freaking perfect right there. So now all we gotta do is be able to attach it and unattach it, because it all has to go in toward the end. Awesome. Now, all right. So I created this stubby bit to go under there. That's the one that come off of this. I just repurposed it. Needs to be right there, and that'll allow me to screw down to this and attach it, unattach it. That piece can be permanently installed, but it's just a tad bit too short. It needs to come up just a little bit, so I need to put something under it to give it a little bit of a lift. This little cutoff from a piece of plywood should be about the right thickness. Let's test the theory and see. So it's going to sit right there on top of that. And that's going to sit on top of that. That is what we're looking for right there. All right, that's how it's all going to sit in there. That's looking real good. All right, so that bolt is in the way a little bit from letting it sit down where it needs to be. So I'm gonna let the beaver eat on it a little bit. So stop dropping stuff, we'll be in good shape. Bolt's right under here. So I'm gonna chew this area out right here. That's the idea. We'll see how that goes. Damned if that ain't the perfect freaking tool for so many jobs, guys. I mean, look at that. Love that beaver. That's awesome. Let's take it on a test flight. See if it sets in here right. I think it does. I got to get my arm in the way, unfortunately. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's perfect, man. That's right where it needs to be. It fell down, but that's the perfect height right there. No, sir. That looks real dang good. It lined up perfect. I mean, perfect. That looks like it was made as one piece. Just barely see the seam there. I like it. And then that gives me the ability to attach this to this. I may have to have a shim under it to do it, but I'll be able to attach that there also. So everything will be bolted in right there, but still removable, at least for now. All right, I think my wires are going to wind up either coming through this panel or through that panel, straight up or straight out. Either way, I've got to make this panel next. So we're going to need to do some cardboard aided design to make this work. So I have my piece laid on here, and I got to try to trace it onto this piece of scrap here. I'm going to freehand in this other piece that I was adding to it. And it went kind of like this, and then got a little bit bigger, like that. And I'm going to tilt my marker and get that as close as I can to underneath the line. And then we're going to run a straight edge for this part here. Alright, so I looked at it, and I think we need to come down a little bit more on our line. Wait, should I nail it? I should. I should straight up nail it. Let me get my hammer. So, if you're going to be nailing a nail into wood and you're worried about it splitting the wood when you nail it in, what you want to do is set your nail down on your board and just take your hammer and beat on the end a little bit in that pointy part. And what that does is it'll dull that tip a little bit, and instead of the nail pushing between the grains, it'll kind of bust its way through, and it won't split on you. And we'll have a look-see. Look, see? Once I get figured out where we're going here. There we go. It should go right down in there. Just like that. Kind of getting pushed up by the wires back here, but y'all should be able to see what it's going to look like when it's all set in place. That's going to look good. Damn right. All right, guys, that's just with one screw holding it in place. We got a lot more to go, but I would say I got my line matched up about as pretty as you could possibly ask for. You literally can't. There's no crack in here. It don't get any better than that. And the rest of this will come together as I proceed forward. Everything is proceeding as planned. Okay, for the hardcore that have stuck around to the very end because that's how you roll. Question for the comments section. Should I bring the two big blue wires out of the top or out of the side? I'm already leaning towards the top, but bear in mind, although that may seem logical, the angle of the dangle, if I come out of the side, I'll be able to curve around and connect. If I come out of the top, it's going to be kind of hard to get the connection right. So the side back this way may be perfect. Come out of an angle, the wires can come straight out like this, circle around, and then connect. It'll be a thing of beauty. I don't know. You guys leave comments down below. Let me know what you think.